Hi, I want to make this video to tell a very nice story about something that happened to me this morning. I was up in Gosport to get a form to change my passport, and as it was raining, I went into the Veterans Cafe for a coffee and to fill out my form. And in the cafe there was a few people, and there was one man who was a bit drunk and talking a lot, trying to talk to people who didn't seem to be giving him much attention. And on his way out past me, I was holding my phone, and he made a comment about it and asked me, am I somebody from his past, military past? Which I said no, and he said, who am I then? So I said, actually, my name's Sandra, and I help people with stress and their emotions. And he kind of did a double take, and he said, wow. He said, I'm really in a bad way. So I said, well, if you want to sit down, we can have a chat, and maybe I can help. So he said, I've got to go to the job centre, and I said, okay, go, and I'll wait for you. And I waited for him to come back. So we came back, and we sat down, and we introduced ourselves to each other, and he told me why he was in the state he was in. He'd just come back to a reunion in Aldershot for the Falklands veterans, and it had brought back all of his memories of when he was in the services in the Air Force then, working as a sniper, and all that meant, and those memories came flooding back. And after being 10 years clean and dry from alcohol, he had some drinks with his friends, and then was feeling absolutely terrible shame for having relapsed in his alcohol, and this was his main emotion that he was presenting. So I listened, and just without judgment, I just listened, and I said, if there was a way to release your emotions that you could do right here and now without having to talk about all the things that happened, would you be interested to try? And he almost jumped at me and said, yes, wow. So I asked him about his shame. Where does he feel it in his body? And he was holding it all in his head. Not just in one area, but the whole of his head was heavy with shame. So I showed him how to do EMO. I directed him to bring his attention inwards into the body, to accept and allow the feeling to be as it was, and to breathe in a relaxed way, and just to look at it and think, could this feeling become softer and lighter? And after a few moments, I said, any change? How is it doing? And he was completely astonished at that actually it was lighter. And so I said, on a scale from 0 to -10, with -10 is the worst possible shame and 0 is no shame at all. He said, I'm a 6, -6, but he said I was at -10. And he was just amazed at the change he just experienced in a few moments. And so I said, well, would you like to see if we can make it lighter? And so he said, yeah, of course. So we did a little bit more, and it softened to like a -2 or 3. And then I said, okay, let's try again. And I didn't even have to instruct him. He kind of knew what to do straight in there. And I could see the change in his coming into being a state of, wow, I can just accept, get on with it, and just, it's okay. So I had a drink and I got drunk, and okay, I broke my 10-year dry record, but I can start again. And he was so happy and was started to thank me really for all of that. So I asked him, you know, was there any other things that he had problems with in his life? Now we were sitting together, is there any other way that I could help him? And so he related some of the things. Coming back from his memories, he'd worked as a sniper in the Falklands and then did 20 years working for the United Nations forces, and was in Rwanda, and there's a lot of things that he'd seen, witnessed and participated in that were really terrible things, which at the time he was very cold and numb to and was able to do his job. But now he said he had a terrible fear. He couldn't sleep well for many, many years. And I said, the fear about all of this, where do you hold it? Where do you carry it? And he said, that's right in the front of my brain. So once again, we directed our attention to this energy, very heavy energy at the front of his head. And in only a few moments, not very long at all, we softened this, and he couldn't believe, he started to cry with gratitude to be, he says, I cannot believe that it's gone. And he cried. He said for the first time in all those 20, 30 years, he hadn't cried or felt his real emotions because how he'd blocked himself from them. And he was astonished. And he says, has it always been that simple? Has it always been that easy? I've been carrying all of this for 30 years. And I said, yes, only you didn't know how. And you didn't understand. People don't understand about what their emotions are and what they can do about their emotions. And yes, it's that simple. So he was absolutely amazed, astonished, delighted. He couldn't thank me enough. He said, I cannot believe that, you know, of all the people, he says, I've just come to Gosport and I came in here for the first time, and of all the people that I could meet, you are the perfect person that I could meet. And I said, yes, actually, I am. And so we had a heartwarming time, and he continued to sat opposite the table from me. And I reached out his hand, I took his hand, and as I held his hand in both of my hands, and unknown to him, I was sending him energy. And I just was so thankful at my own knowledge and skills and abilities, that how EMO is so easy and effortlessly can be shared and to help somebody anywhere in a very discreet, even public way, as there were other people in the cafe around us. And even by taking his hand, I knew how I could send love, energy to his heart as I was holding his hand. And he was really didn't know what was happening, except he said, I can't believe I can feel my emotions again. I can feel a human being. And this is the best, he said to me, this is the best day of my life in the last 30 years. And I said really to him, thank you, because I said, I cannot help another person without feeling something of their joy and happiness and freedom myself, and that it was a blessing for me also. So that was this morning, sharing EMO with a stranger in the military veterans cafe in Gosport and making a new friend, and really thinking if more people should know about EMO and learn it for themselves. He already now knows how to help himself from that little exchange and lesson. I gave him my contact details, and maybe he'll be in touch with me now on Facebook. And really thank God for EMO. Thank you, Sylvia, and thank you for tuning in and listening.